everybody, this is Armastis, and you're watching Armastis Live, and I have a frog in my throat. It's late, I just got done eating. Yeah, it's still Sunday. I don't care if it's actually technically Monday morning at 12:09 a.m. I'm counting this as Sunday. Yes, I am. I know, a little bit late to the news, but it's because there's a lot of news to cover. I had a lot to do to get ready for this, and so we've got some great stuff coming. We're going to talk about some new Opus XIII singles. We also got some new Chaos Boss deck, yeah, single stuff. And we also are going to talk about Opus XI. What? Why? Well, what we're going to be talking about is the pricing and what the heck is happening with Opus XI. Stuff from my opinions, it's going to be mostly my opinions, stuff I read on the community, and just past experiences. And as always, I'll want to know what you all think as well. So before we do all that, remember to please like, subscribe, follow. You all are freaking awesome. I can't believe we're at 74 people now. That's amazing, because when we get to 100, we're going to do a good giveaway. I guarantee you that. And on top of that, oh yeah, links to betterhelp.com. Mental health is super important, as well as all the other kinds of health. Physical, emotional, spiritual, I said mental, all the, yeah, whatever. Everything. It's all good. It's all important. That's what I mean to say. The next thing too is, yes, my email is armastislife@gmail.com. Also in the video links description, I still have a link to the deck profile that we did on Friday. And I really like the deck. I really do. Also, please remember to comment, hit the ring as well, the little belly thingy. And what else is there left? I think that's it. Without further ado, we got a lot to talk about. We just got a lot to do. Oh yeah, tomorrow we're playing Final Fantasy XIV on my Twitch channel, but I'm thinking about also doing it simultaneously on YouTube. Because I am doing a little minor intertwine of the TCG and the video game. And I also want to get people from the video game over to the TCG to get the community growing. So let me know what you all think of that. I'm still thinking about it. I'm pondering it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll just do it for one try. I don't know. I kind of don't want to like make this a video game channel, you know, make it focus on TCG. But if I'm going to do TCG with the video game, I guess I could still count. I don't know. Anyway, I'm done. Let's get into this. We got too much to do. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so the first thing we are going to be starting off with is Opus XIII. We've got new cards to talk about, some good stuff. To start us off, we got Lumina here. Lumina is a backup, a rare. When Lumina enters the field, you may search for one category 13 forward and add it to your hand. Again, more category 13 support. That is fantastic. We're going to move on kind of quickly here, so try to stick with me. Our next card is going to be Levnato. So Levnato is a member of the Orders. When Levnato enters the field, you may reveal any number of summons from your hand. Ooh, that's fascinating. When you reveal no summons, put Levnato into the break zone. Ooh, that's not so good. When you reveal 2 or more summons, choose one dull forward and break it. So this, I think, would go great in a heavily summoned build, which is amazing because I try to do a tech profile that focus a lot more on summons. So maybe that's another thing we'll have to revisit and try again and do a very summon focused deck. I believe there's other support coming out on Opus XIII that we might be able to do that. So that should be pretty fun. Moving on from Levnato, we have Remedy. So Remedy here, there was this spoiler, I believe, on the Twitter of Final Fantasy France, TCG France Twitter. They get a lot of spoilers, which is pretty awesome. So the image here is not so great, but I try to sharpen it and clean it up as much as possible. But let's try to read this as best we can. So Remedy here is FFTA card. Cool. A queen. Oh, she's a queen. So when your opponent searches for one or more cards, okay, your opponent discards one card from their hand. Oh, interesting. Punishment for search. Okay. When your opponent discards a card from their hand due to your summons or abilities, you may search for one card named Sid Sid, I believe that's Rendell, I think. And add it to your hand. Yeah, I know that card. We know that card. Yes. Okay. This effect will trigger only once per turn. Oh, fascinating. Okay, so some more support for Sid. So, and it's FFTA. Ooh, we all know FFTA cards pretty good, huh? March Ritz, eh? All right, moving on from Remedy, because we got lots still to do. We got Sid Hayes, an engineer. I like the beard on this dude here. So, Sid Hayes. Let's see if we can read this. When Sid Hayes enters the field or attacks, activate all the job engineer you control. Choose one forward other than Sid Hayes. It gains plus 1,000 power for each job engineer you control until the end of the turn. I feel like I need to read that again. Okay, when Sid Hayes enters the field or attacks, you're going to activate all the job engineer you control. I need to look through all the job engineers to see what what exists in the game. That's fascinating. Okay. So the dual effect here is choose one forward other than Sid Hayes. It gains 1,000 power for each job engineer you control until the end of the turn. Okay. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, so this is a very, this is support for some job engineer. That's fascinating. Okay, well, that'll be fun to see what happens with that. Let's see. Up next, we've got Vanille. I love the art of this Vanille. So for this one, we have Vanille, which is, what is this here? Vanille cannot attack or block. At the end of each of your turns, place one Soul Song counter on Vanille. Okay. Remove 2 Soul Song counters from Vanille. Choose one forward in your break zone. Add it to your hand. Oh, okay. Not bad. Okay. Remove 4 Soul Song counters from Vanille. Choose one forward in your break zone. Play it onto the field. Fascinating. So this is... okay, a little bit more control, a little bit of a slow card, but if you can get her on there turn 1 and hopefully not die to aggro, this is some long-term potential here. This is a card that just could basically be like a constant on the field, right? It's one that you don't want to use necessarily to attack with or block, unless maybe you're partying or it's safe to attack. And you just want to keep it safe out there so that basically every 2 or 4 turns, you're either going to be adding something, breaking and adding a card. No, I'm sorry. Choose one forward in your break zone. I'm sorry, adding a card to your hand from your break zone, or playing a card from your break zone on the field. I kind of like this. I kind of like this card. It's going to be interesting to see what we can get out of what kind of combo, what kind of combos and builds will come out of this card. Vanille cannot attack or block, so I guess you don't want to attack with that anyway. So it's just like a constant. It's going to sit out there. Interesting. Okay. So next card here. Delusory Warlock. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we all agree that we hate this art. We passionately hate the art of these mannequin cards, right? They're terrible. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna give Square a little bit of slack here. So when I first saw this spoiler for these there's mannequin support in Opus 13. I didn't know there was going to be, but when I first saw this spoiler and I saw the art for this one, and I've been talking about how great the art's going to be in 13 from Square Enix and how putting so much effort, and etc. And then I saw this crappy thing. Now, no disrespect to Tetsuya Nomura. Forgive me if I get that name incorrect. No disrespect to you. It is not necessarily your art style that I'm, of course, targeting. It's the fact that it is this very blocky 3D kind of printing on a card that it just doesn't look great. I'm sure your original design on, pen to pencil, paper to pencil kind of thing, ink brush, whatever it might be, looks beautiful. And I just want Square to do something about that. But here's one of my little slap. These are mannequin cards. I got it now. And I went back and I read, okay, these other cards and from the older stuff. And it's like, okay, they're mannequins. They're meant to be like dolls. So because I'm taking it like that, like dolls or like statues, I'm actually okay with it. Okay. So I think it could still look better. on the card. I'm just saying, but I'm going to let it go. And I think it could. I think it's good. I'm gonna still say Opus 13 overall still has good art. Okay, moving on from that. So that was my thing. That was my little spiel, my little rant, if you will. Okay, moving on. So it's a backup mannequin, so we're gonna get more mannequin support. And let me tell you, I think making a mannequin deck will be something very interesting and fun to do because there's some really good mannequin cards actually. So the cost required to cast your lightning card, your lightning card name X-Death, forward, is reduced by 1. It cannot become 0. That's great because there's a lot of good X-Death cards, as we all know. When Delusory Warlock enters a field, you may search for one job mannequin other than lightning and add it to your hand. So this is going to be replenishing your mannequins, right? It's really nice, and also be deducting your X-Death. Not too bad. I kind of like it. So let's move on to our next mannequin card, and we have Lady of Antiquity, which we all know this looks like Shantoto. So Lady of Antiquity here is the cost required to cast your lightning card named X-Death forward is reduced by 1. It cannot become 0, so more deduction on the X-Death there. So maybe a lightning earth support kind of thing. Who knows? The cost required to cast your job mannequin can be paid with CP of any element. So that's pretty nice. So, okay, not too bad. Now, it's a good card. I think it's a pretty good card, especially going to do some mannequin support here. So, moving on here, some more beautiful art. Fantastic, amazing art here. We've got Vermilion Bird Elchi Katuna. I think that's how you say that. I don't know. I did my best there. I think so. Anyway, another backup. When Vermilion Bird Elchi Kautuna enters the field, you may search for up to 2 summons, and add them to your hand. Cool. So you're going to search for 2 summons from your deck, which is awesome, and add them to your hand. I mean, that alone is pretty great. So it's basically cost 7 to get 2. So in that sense, you're not going to be really losing anything, especially if you're going to say you pay 3 on field and then toss 2. You're just going to replenish with those 2. So you can maybe toss 2 that you don't need or that you maybe perhaps want in your break zone. And you're just going to get those summons. So great. Dull, remove all the summons in your break zone from the game. Choose 1 forward, deal 2,000 damage for each summon removed by this ability's cost. So again, I'm noticing, and I'm sure you're all noticing, that with Opus 13, we're getting a lot more summon support, which is fantastic because I don't know about you, but like me in the Final Fantasy games, I loved using my summons. Even if they had these long, repetitive animations, there was just something beautiful about seeing them. I didn't care. I would use like a Bahamut on a poor like little flan. Like I did not care because it looked so amazing. So I kind of, I tried making a summon build before. I kind of want to revisit after Opus 13 and maybe improve on that, or maybe make a new summon support kind of build because summons are freaking amazing. So Vermilion, a backup, cost 7, not bad, not bad. And then I believe this is our last one, our last spoiler from Opus 13. We have this beautiful, beautiful looking card, and I truly hope this card comes in a full art, called Kunshira, a warrior. It's a forward, 9k, cost 2, 9k, FFBE, has haste, incredible. Probably gonna be a downside. Let's read it together. If you control 4 or more backups, Kunshira loses 3,000 power. Okay, so if you control 4 or more, it's gonna go down to 6. But we all know early on in the game, this is going to be 9, and we all know that it's not going to be that difficult to get this out. Maybe turn 1 or turn 2, really, honestly. So, well, mostly maybe turn 2. Okay, so Tempest, Spellblade, you're going to discard a Kunshira, and then 1 wind, 1 lightning. Activate Kunshira until the end of the turn. All the forwards opponent controls lose 4,000 power. Oh, so you're going to activate the... Okay, so if it's attacked, then you're going to activate... Okay. Controls lose 4,000 power, and Kunshira gains first strike. And Kunshira can attack once more this turn. Ooh. Fascinating. How are you going to get it to reactivate here? Oh, wait. So I get that. What am I doing? What am I talking about? Yes. So you're in attack phase. You're going to attack for 9k. Discard Kunshira, pay 1 wind, pay 1 lightning, reactivate. It's got first strike, attack again. That's pretty freaking awesome. I love it. Let me know what you all think of this card. It looks freaking amazing and beautiful. This card just really like says Final Fantasy, doesn't it? Oh my gosh, excuse me. Oh, wow. Shadowbringers. So I want to talk about Shadowbringers because I finally got my deck in the mail. I've not opened it yet. We're going to experience that together, and we're going to do that most likely this Wednesday in lieu of opening. I think we're on Opus 6 now, but I think we're going to instead do Shadowbringers because I want to go through it with you all. I've seen the cards. Over the weekend, I was playing with my friend again. She had the deck. She opened it. It just looks incredible. Now, I didn't read every card, but, you know, a good few of them. And I know some of you have already been, you know, have already know what's in everything, and I get it. But you know what? It took a while to get here. I'm still going to go through it, and I wanted to go through it with you all and have that experience with you all. Anyway, cards are beautiful. We're going to be doing that this week, going through the Shadowbringers. I hope you're excited because I'm certainly excited. Oh, and make sure you get your hands on them because they are getting out of stock here. So get your hands on them. Now, moving on to Boss Deck Chaos. Oh my gosh. So Square Enix on their site started releasing basically, I think they released the entire deck in lieu of the delay. They just said, well, you know, it's a delayed release. Here's all the cards. You can look at them. So something interesting, like we all knew that they're going to be reprinting some of the old cards. What I didn't know, and I don't know if you all knew, that these old cards also have some new wording on them. Now, here's my confusion, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe there's something you know that I don't know, because I couldn't find anything, right? So, maybe, I don't know, do we now have two versions of the same card with different text, right? Like, I could use this one Spiritus or another Spiritus, right? I don't know. Or are these cards only meant for the boss deck? I'm honestly not sure, but doesn't matter because here's what I want to talk about is each of single one of these cards and see what they are. And I really hope that we could use these boss cards because it's, if you notice down here with the Spiritus on the right, it says B-002. I'm hoping we can still use these boss cards in standard play because they are by far better than the original cards. They are freaking amazing. So let's go through them uno by uno. So Spiritus, we know the Spiritus on the left side, it's a good card. What is the retext on the one on the right say? This says Spiritus. Spiritus cannot leave the field due to your opponent's summons or abilities. Got it. If you can play two or more, you can play two or more dark monsters on the field. Cool. If Spiritus is on the field, Spiritus can produce CP of any element. Awesome. You can discard dark element cards from your hand to produce CP, which is amazing. And dark cards produce 2 dark CP each. This is freaking fantastic. Why is this amazing? Because we no longer, with this card on the field, have dead cards in hand if we cannot, for some reason, bring them out. Especially if you play a dark heavy build and you're just holding on to 3 Emperors, which I experienced during the deck profile last Friday, which is funny. If you're holding 3 the Emperors that are dark, right, and you can't do anything about it, all right, if you have this Spiritus on the field, now you can start discarding them to pay for those other Emperors, which is pretty amazing. So I like this card. I think it's freaking fantastic, but we got a lot to go through here. So let's move on here. I think we have like 24 or 12 here to go through. Okay, so we got Chaos here. We all know what the Chaos does on the left. Let's read the one on the right. Chaos cannot leave the field due to your opponent's summons or abilities. Okay, cool. If Chaos is on the field, Chaos can produce CP of any element. Remove Chaos from the game. Select one of the 2 following actions. Choose one light forward. Break it. Awesome. Play 1 card named Feral Chaos from your hand onto the field. That is pretty freaking fantastic. This card's already better. May I also add the little golden emblem there? I really hope that what Square Enix kind of does going forward with maybe certain legends or certain kind of special cards, they make that a foil. I hope in the set, these are foil. I hope that gold emblem is foil, and I hope they make those foil in just your standard releases, because that would be really amazing. The design's really good. So moving on to our next one, we now have Garland here. Garland went from when Garland attacks, Garland gains plus 4,000 power until the end of the turn. This one goes from Brave. When Garland attacks, Garland gains plus 4,000 power until the end of the turn. So this is exactly the same. But the only difference is that Garland gets 10k power off the bat immediately rather than its 8k. So Garland's going to go up to 14k rather than 12k. That is freaking amazing. And I'm really proud of myself for doing that math really quickly in my head because I'm not good at math, even though I'm an engineer. I know. So moving on here, we got Ifrit. This is amazing. I really, really, really hope we can use these Ifrits in like traditional standard play because the first one only does 4k. The second one with X-Burst does 10k for cost 1. Is that too broken? Maybe, but come on. It's so good. And I really hope we can use it in just standard, traditional, whatever play. Forgive me, I forget the format names. Now, moving on here, we've got Odin. Odin right here, X-Burst, choose 1 forward, break it. The new thing says Odin 7, choose up to 3 forwards and break them. What the freak? What the freak is this? That is amazing. And it makes, here's why I want to be able to use these cards, because this Odin does not get played too often. It really doesn't. But I think this incentivizes us to use this Odin. And this is why I'm glad about some of these reprinting of these cards, because it's going to incentivize us to use some of these cards that maybe we perhaps didn't want to use for whatever reason, and now we want to use them. So let's look at Diabolos. Already a great card here for a legend. The original here, of course, is choose 1 forward of cost 5 more, break it. We see here on the new one, it's the same thing. Again, the next one is choose 1 forward of cost 4 or less until the end of the turn. It becomes 1,000. On the other side, it says choose 1 character of cost 4 or less, break it. Okay, so it's got 5 or more, break it, 4 or less, break it. Very different. I kind of like it even more, honestly. And then still the same, activate all the forwards you control, activate all the backups you control. I like this one way more than the other one. So the other one does have its potential too, but I do like the new one for sure. And then we've got Zodiark, Keepers of the Precepts. This is really good because I've always liked this card and I wanted to use this card. But so we read the original here. It says if you control a dark forward, the cost to cast Zodiark, Keeper of the Precepts can be reduced by 3, so it's 4. Really quickly, Toby Garza here just asks, when is the boss deck releasing? So Toby, here's the thing, is that there is no more official release date. It actually, well, I'm sorry, excuse me. That's not completely true. Apologies. It got pushed back. It got pushed back further. I think it is, you'll have to go to Square Enix site, but it's actually further down the line later on in the year as a kind of Isari kind of thing. Square Enix went ahead and presented us with the entire deck list. And so we're going through some key cards that are specifically in the boss deck Chaos. It's fantastic. So moving on here of Zodiark, the remaining text says, break all the forwards opponent controls. You receive damage equal to the number of forwards broken by this effect. That's the reason why we didn't use this card, because that sucks. If your opponent has 4 and you play this and you take 4 points of damage, you're either going to just take a huge hit or just die. Like, game over, man. Game over. That's not cool. But the new text is amazing. If you control Dark Forward, the cost to cast Zodiark, Keeper of the Precepts, is reduced by 3. Goes down to 4. That's easy. Break all the forwards opponent controls. End of story. Done. Yes. I like it. I'm sure you like it too, right? Why wouldn't you like that card? It's just so good, and it looks good too. All right, so Zalera, the Death Seraph. The only difference here, so it's still the same effect, same taxes. Break all the dull forwards of cost 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13 opponent controls. The difference is that this has X Burst. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. This is even better because if your opponent attacks with a 3, 5, with a 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, it's going to be dulled. X Burst, and it's dead. So sorry. It's pretty fantastic. Moving on now to our next card here. We've got X-Death. So X-Death, original text is when X-Death enters the field, choose 1 forward from either player's break zone if its cost is equal to or less than the number of backups you control played on the field. That already is a pretty awesome effect in and of its own, but not easy to do. Let's see what the new text says, because I actually don't know. We're going to read together right for my first time. When X-Death enters the field, choose up to 3 forwards among all break zones. Play all the forwards among them of cost equal to or less than the number of backups you control on your field. That's better. Obviously, that is, yeah, that is way better. Yes, please. Please, Square Enix, let us play this in just normal competitive play, please. All right, Gelds. I don't know if it's Gelds or Glades. I always get it. I don't know. Anyway, also want to really quickly note right there, if you look at the art here on the new version of Geld, you see the cracks in the wall. That's pretty awesome. I like that. So that's why I'm hoping that the art kind of like stays around for like certain special cards. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so original of Geld is when Geld is put from the field in the break zone, select one of the 3 following actions. New text is when Geld is put from the field in the break zone, select up to 3 of the 3 following actions. Okay. So let's read the original. The original is your opponent randomly discards 1 card from his or her hand. Choose 1 monster in your break zone, add it to your hand. Choose 1 forward. It loses 5,000 power until the end of the turn. Cool. Okay. It's a good card. It's a really good card. Anyway. New text. Your opponent randomly discards 1 card from their hand. Choose 1 character with other than card name Gelds in your break zone, add it to your hand. Awesome. Instead of just 1 monster, it's 1 character. Choose 1 forward. It loses 10,000 power until the end of the turn. Well, that's stupid. I mean, I mean that in a good way. That's just so good, it's stupid. Anyway, moving on now to Arden. Arden here, the original text is when Arden enters the field, choose 1 forward. Opponent controls it, cannot attack or block until the end of the turn. When Arden is put from the field in the break zone, your opponent summons or abilities, play Arden on the field at the end of the turn. That's pretty amazing as it is. Cost 5, not bad. X-Burst with the new Arden. Arden, when Arden is a field, choose up to 3 forwards opponent controls. They cannot attack or block until the end of the next turn. So you're going to choose 3 this time. Awesome. When Arden is put from the field break zone, play Arden on the field at the end of the turn. That's just way better. It is just a card that just ain't going to go away if it's going to be targeted. I should say just destroyed in that way. It's going to be so good. So we got Chikuja here. Now, I like this card, and I've been wanting to play this card. But with its new text, I'm a little more incentivized to play it. So original X-Burst, when Kuja enters the field, choose 1 forward of monster opponent controls, duel it, and freeze it. Put 2 ice backups into the break zone. Return Kuja to your hand. You can only use this ability during your main phase. And if Kuja is in the break zone. Cool. All right. Not bad. New text. When Kuja enters the field, choose up to 3 forwards or opponent or monster's opponent controls, duel them and freeze them. Awesome. We'll put 2 ice backups in the break zone. Play Kuja on the field. You can only use this ability during your main phase if Kuja is in the break zone. So yeah, it's just better. You get more targets. It's pretty fantastic. I like it. I feel like I want to play this a little bit more. Vayne, excuse me. So Vayne here is the forwards of cost 5 or more opponent controls won't activate until at the controller's active phase. When Vayne enters the field, duel all the forwards of cost 5 or more opponent controls. And then the effect is to discard a Vayne. You pay 2 ice, freeze all the forwards opponent controls. The new text here, even better. Excuse me. I just ate. I had a late dinner. I'm sorry. The forwards opponent controls won't activate at the controller's active phase. Awesome. And that's all of them. When Vayne enters the field, duel all the forwards opponent controls. Force of Will, only discard a Vayne. You don't have to pay the 2 extra ice. That's fantastic. Freeze all the forwards opponent controls. It makes the card that much better. I mean, it's just a freaking fantastic card. Next build. I'm getting water. 1 second. Oh, I need water. I'm out my throat. All right. Woo! Okay. Ultimacia. So Ultimacia here. A fan favorite from FF8. I do like Ultimacia as a character. So the old text here, when Ultimacia enters the field, each player reveals the top card of his or her deck. Each player who revealed a character may play it onto the field. Awesome. 2 ice, 2 dull. Put Ultimacia into the break zone. Choose 1 forward. Put it at the top of its owner's deck. New text. When Ultimacia enters the field, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Play up to 1 character among them on the field and return the other cards to the bottom of the deck in any order. So you're both you and your opponent do not benefit. Rather, you just benefit, which is amazing. Sure, why not? And then the new effect is just dull. That's great. Put Ultimacia in the break zone. Choose 1 forward. Put it on the top of its owner's deck, which is pretty awesome. Especially putting something that your opponent has already played back on the top of the deck. That's basically the equivalent of saying opponent skips draw phase. Oh, no, come back here, Kuja. Kuja's on the run, that little rascal. Kuja's on the run. He's such a rascal, isn't he? He was a rascal in Final Fantasy VI. He's still a rascal here now. All right. I'm sorry, not Kuja. Kefka. You know what, Kefka? You deserve to be named incorrectly. I'm just kidding. My apologies. You're the best boss in all Final Fantasies. Anyway, Kefka, backup. Dull. Choose 1 forward. The original. Choose 1 forward. You control. It gains plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn. At the end of the turn, break it. Okay. The new one. So good. Dull, Kefka. Choose 1 forward you control until the end of the turn. It gains plus 10,000 power and brave. What? It's just, and it's a backup. It's just like, sure, let's just give a forward 10,000 and brave every turn. Sure, why not? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, the Emperor. I'm a big fan of Emperor cards. I've said it before. I think they're great. I think there's going to be eventually a rise in it. I don't know. That's just me. I have stockpiled on Emperor cards because I'm just crazy. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I just think they're awesome. So this Emperor here has X-Burst when the original, when the Emperor enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls. If you receive 4 points of damage or more, dull it and freeze it. Cool. And then one ice and dull, discard 2 cards, choose one dull forward, break it. You can only use this ability during your turn. The new one is so much better. X-Burst, when the Emperor enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards, opponent controls, dull them and freeze them. Only dull, that's it. Discard 1 card, choose 1 dull forward, break it. So much better. You can only use this ability during your turn. It's just so good. I really like it. It makes it so much better. You pile that on with the other Emperors. Yeah, it's just so good. Anyway, Cloud of Darkness. Now, I like the original card, but it's just, to me, it just really wasn't quite there. But let's just read the new one, because I think we're all familiar with the old one. The new one is, at the end of each of your turns, remove the top card of your deck from the game. Cool. Cloud of Darkness gains plus 2,000 this time power for each card removed by Cloud of Darkness's ability. That's awesome. Okay. So it's going to be at 9k rather than the 8k. When Cloud of Darkness leaves the field, add all the cards removed by Cloud of Darkness's ability back to your hand. This card is so good because this card has so little downside. It is basically, if you could leave it out there even just one turn, it's already a +1, or it's already a free draw, I should say. But you just keep doing it, and it's just gonna plus it, and it's like just getting more and more draws. It's so good. It's so good. I really like it. It only costs 3 too. Okay, Sin. I really like this card. We all know that the art is terrible. They reused the original art still, which is a bit unfortunate. You know, from Opus 7. We all want them to do a better art version of this card, but that's okay. That's okay. I still like the card. And the new version is even better. I do want to make a Sin deck, and I think we could do it now with the new one. So the old one. When Sin enters the field, break all the forwards and monsters other than Sin. Sin deals you 1 point of damage. Okay, kind of sucks. All right, not too bad though. And then you can, of course, discard and then pay 9, a hefty price, I know, but with the original text, it says, at the end of your next turn, if Sin is on the field, your opponent loses the game. You can only use his ability during your turn. New text. When Sin enters the field, break all the forwards and monsters opponent controls. End of story. That alone, I think, is worth running Sin. Who cares if you get the next ability, the next part, of course, at the end of your next turn, if Sin is on the field, your opponent loses the game. You can only use this ability during your turn. Again, it's the same cost, but I still think it's fair that it stays that same cost. Just that beginning part of it, I think, makes us more inclined to use it. And perhaps if we can use it in competitive play, it is Square Enix's way of incentivizing us to use it in competitive play, which is pretty amazing. Feral Chaos, here we go. So Feral Chaos has that support now with the other Chaos in this deck. Feral Chaos, the old is Feral Chaos is also a card named Chaos in all situations, has haste for Strike Brave. When Feral Chaos attacks or blocks, select one character you control, put it into the break zone. 10,000. Okay. So on the other side, still 10,000, still costs 5. Feral Chaos is also a card named Chaos in all situations. For haste for Strike Brave, great. So that stays the same. When Feral Chaos leaves the field, select one of your card named Chaos removed from the game, add it to your hand. Not too bad. So in this time, we again get the added effect of just getting a card back. Not too shabby. I like it. All right, Garland here. So first strike, the original text when Garland enters the field, select one character of cost 3 or less other than Garland you control, put it in the break zone. Okay, all right, not too bad. Is it? Yeah, okay. Just had to make sure I was reading that correctly. So the new text here is first strike. When Garland enters the field, choose one forward of cost 3 or less opponent controls. Break it. It's clear. It's exactly one forward rather than just a character. So maybe a little bit downside, but I kind of like it a little bit more if I gotta be honest. And it's very direct. The text is so much better. For Golbez here. So Golbez, the original is the cost required to play Golbez on the field is reduced by 1 for every 5 cards in your break zone. Okay. When Golbez enters the field, choose one forward of cost 5 or less in your break zone, add it to your hand. New text. The cost required to cast Golbez is reduced by 1 for every 5 cards in your break zone. Fair enough. We could use that. You could pile this with like Don Corneo, right? You know the card. It's a pretty cool card. So we'll immediately bring down the cost pretty quickly. X-Burst, this time, when Golbez enters the field, choose 1 forward of cost 5 or less in your break zone, play it onto the field. So much better, in my opinion. I think incentivizes us to play this card even more so. It's a pretty fantastic card. Next one here. So they messed with my boy Shadow Lord, but not for the worst, but for the best. I like this card. I've talked this card up a lot. I think it has immense potential. I think it's a great competitive card. The original one basically is you're gonna pay to have Shadow Lord have Brave, and of course negate the Experts as a result if it deals point damage. The new one, you don't have to pay, and it's just immediately. Oh, and your opponent doesn't get to summon a backup, which is amazing. It's just a 2 cost 9k with Brave, and it stops X-Burst. That's so dumb and so good. Yeah, it's so much better. It's just so much better. So thank you, I guess, Square, for that one. And then Orphan, here we go. So the original, when Orphan enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards. Opponent controls, duel them. If you control 5 or more ice characters, freeze them. Also, when Orphan attacks, choose 1 forward. Opponent controls, freeze it. Okay. New one. X-Burst this time, which is amazing. When Orphan enters the field or attacks, choose up to 3 characters opponent controls, duel them, and freeze them. So much better. Why not? Yes, please. So Nell. So they did something to Nell. So here's the difference. And I like it because I think subconsciously we've all kind of thought this about Nell. The difference here is when the original is when Nell enters a field, you reveal the top 3 and you add 2 forwards among them to your hand, right? And then you put the rest of them in the break zone. The difference here is that in this instance, so there's a few differences with the new one. This time it has X-Burst, which we've all, subconsciously, you've always thought Nell should have X-Burst. And sometimes, I'm sure accidentally, you've played Nell with X-Burst, because I know I have before. This time, Nell has X-Burst, but when Nell enters a field, you're going to reveal the top 5 cards of your deck this time, and you're going to add up to 5 forwards among them to your hand and put the rest of the cards in the break zone this time. So much better, so amazing. And the next part is remove 1 backup from the game until the end of the turn. Nell gains plus 2,000 power and haste. Okay, that's the same, but the next piece, remove 2 backups from the game. Choose 1 forward, deal it 10k instead of 8k this time. It is an upgrade to Nell, and it looks better with the gold. She looks amazing. And then I believe this is last, but certainly not least, is Xenos here. Again, still costs 4. This time going from 8 to 10k, which is pretty amazing. Original, if your opponent controls, say, any Job Warrior of Light forward, Xeno gains plus 2,000 power, haste, and brave. When Xeno deals damage to your opponent, choose 1 forward. Opponent controls, deal 5,000 damage. All right, it's already pretty anti-Warrior of Light. New text. Haste and brave. It's so good. X-Burst. When Xeno deals damage to your opponent, choose 1 forward. Opponent controls, deal a 10k damage. It's like what, Braskus, I guess. It's so good. Okay. I hope these cards are all foil, honestly. So I believe that is it for the new cards. Yes, that is it for the new cards from the boss deck Chaos. Let me know what you all think about them. I think they're wonderful. They are amazing. Next, we're moving on to money. I hate money. I mean, well, you know what I mean, right? I mean, I don't hate it. It's just, it makes things complicated sometimes. So let's talk about the cost of Opus XI. Why am I talking about this? Why is our masses talking about this? Well, let me tell you why I'm bringing this up. Because in the community, and I'm talking Reddit, I'm talking Facebook, I'm not sure if I've seen it on Twitter, but people, and even in other places locally, people are talking about what the heck happened with Opus XI. The cost of Opus XI has skyrocketed immensely, and has sold out everywhere. So I'm going to give some of my opinions on why it has, my experiences, and also stuff from what the community says and what I think we should do. Again, my opinion, open to interpretation. Obviously, apply your own wisdom, your own foresight, your own experience, and you do what you want to do. But here's my advice, and especially if you're new to collecting this game, like moi, and perhaps you've collected other things, you probably have gone through this experience with other things that you've collected, like I have. But let's move on here. So what I want to do is I'm going to do something a little bit different with the news this time. Is I'm going to pop up, where is it? Here you are. We're going to look at the Chrome browser here. And on the Chrome browser, we've got our TCG player up. Okay. Here we go. We're going to go through this together, ladies and gentlemen. First thing I want to look at here, before we talk about the singles in the set. And this really can apply to basically Opus I, and you know, this advice and things I'm going to say can apply to like some of Opus I and also their singles. But Opus I has a little bit more leeway because it's an old, no more printed set. But Opus XI has been skyrocketing in price immensely. It makes an Opus I Wave 2 box look cheap. I'm not kidding. Okay, so right now we don't see anything in here on TCG Player. It's completely out of stock. Okay, it's out. It's out. I want to say something about TCG Player, and everybody who's used to TCG Player, right? I've used TCG Player for a long time. I'm familiar with how this works with other TCGs, and it does not. Final Fantasy TCG is not exempt from this. When there are buyouts in TCG Player, when things start selling out, when there's low stock to no stock, the individual or individuals who utilize TCG Player as sellers or want to sell on this platform realize that and will crank prices up. My advice, do not buy. Don't do it. I know some of you are afraid. You experience FOMO, I think is what the kids say, right? Fear of missing out. Don't be afraid, okay? People on TCG Player will realize this, and let me tell you, this is happening immensely with Pokemon. It's happening with Yu-Gi-Oh! It's happening with Magic. It's happening with Dragon Ball Z. It's happening with is it Steins Gate, I think, or I forgot the other ones. Forgive me. It's happening with our game, with us Final Fantasy TCG folks, okay? And it's okay. Right now, we are in a pandemic. It has hurt manufacturing. Square Enix has come out and has plainly said that they've had to scale back on manufacturing. There's not as much released. Even with Opus 13, I highly recommend. I am not a pre-order person. I hate doing it. I hate it. I don't believe in it. I don't like it, especially when it comes to video games. But because of the pandemic, I've had to shift my beliefs a little bit. I've had to shift my practices a little bit. I recommend with Opus 13 to pre-order, okay? Especially with the pre-release sets when they become available, try to pre-order those, because we already know that Square Enix is unable to supply the demand due to the pandemic. It's just the way it is right now, people. It sucks, I know, but other products out there are experiencing the same thing right now, okay? The downside is that the other downside to that is that people are taking advantage. There's still scalpers, even here, right? I think we have a beautiful community, and overall, I have seen more amazing people than not. But there is still once in a while a person who, in my opinion, does what I believe is unethical. I may even argue in some instances, maybe not with games, but in some things could be immoral, right? Toilet paper, right? Hand sanitation. Anyway, we know that people are going to try to take advantage of this, and then they will skyrocket the price. Do not buy from them. I know it's hard, and I know it seems scary, but here's the thing, is that Square Enix may, now I cannot quote them, but they might produce more. I don't know how. I don't know what it's going to look like. There's still a chance, right? Square does realize this. They have recognized that there is a shortage. They do take notice that things sell out quickly. There is a chance, right? I believe there's a chance that they may print more. Now, if they don't, I'm going to still say don't buy. Here's why. Right now, during the pandemic, people are staying home. People are diving into past hobbies. As such, people who maybe at one point used to play trading card games and quit, you know, they got older, got busy. Now they have time, they jumped back into it. either as collectors or players. This is what's happening right now. This is what we're seeing. Wait till the pandemic starts fizzling away, right? Things start calming down. Life starts to get to somewhat normal, right? And what's going to end up happening is that people who have either been hoarding this, or people who feel like they have, maybe they're not hoarders. There's a lot of fair, honest people out there who are scared and think, should I sell, and feel bad about it. Here's what I'm going to say. Still don't buy right now. If you want to sell, that's your prerogative. You do what you need to do, obviously, especially if you need the money. I'm not going to discourage that. But what I'm going to tell people right now is don't buy. Be patient and wait. People are hoarding these things maliciously, or people who just have a lot of things, right? Who have a lot of these things, these items. Eventually, the market will level out, right? TCG, it works a lot like the stock market. People are going to be holding on and saying, oh my gosh, like I'm having, like I need to sell. And they're going to start lowering prices a little bit. Yes, in time, things will get more expensive. But right now, let's look at eBay really quickly. So I also have eBay up here. This is ridiculous. Okay, and I am not saying what these people are doing here. I don't know these people, and perhaps their heart's in the right place. But what I'm telling you as a buyer, don't buy from them. Don't buy this. This is too much. It just is. Okay, this is also way too much, and this is way too much. Okay, do not buy it. And as a matter of fact, if you're gonna buy, if you must buy this, the $4,500 case, half case 6, but don't do it. Don't do it. Just wait. Now, let's take a look at what the sold and completed was. So on the 26th, which was like 3 days ago, a box sold for 500, which already, in my opinion, was a lot. Just a few days prior, it was 400. Just a few, maybe a week or two before, 150. Okay, that's okay. Just about a month ago or so, or a little over a month ago, it was about a little less. It obviously didn't sell for 115. It's probably sold for something a little cheaper, right? It will come back down. I can almost guarantee that. Now, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, this is going to calm down. And I'm not going to buy. I really don't think you should buy. But again, if you really want to, I'm not going to judge you, and nobody should judge you, right? And if you want to sell, it's your prerogative. I will say, if you're a scalper, shame on you. But if you're not, and you're just a person who's just trying to sell, okay, cool. Go for it. I hope you get what you can. But be patient if you're a buyer, okay? It's not the end. And I think Square Enix, especially to get more people on board, will eventually reprint these things, or get some way, somehow, to get the cards in this set into people's hands. Okay, and then that in itself will also start leveling the playing field as well. So I want to now move on from the box, and I want to move on to, let's see here. Where's my Chrome browser? Here we go. Yeah, let's go from the box here. And now let's take a look at these beautiful, beautiful singles, which we all love, right? These singles look freaking amazing. Tifa, Cloud, and Sephiroth. Now, on my channel, I pulled during one of my Opus 11 boxes, openings on my channel, I opened Tifa. Go check that out. It's pretty freaking amazing. I was so excited and so happy at the time, and I was really happy to share that with you all. But let's talk about the singles now in the market, okay? And again, this is applying to Final Fantasy VII characters, and also because this is out of Opus 11. Why the heck did these singles jump up? Okay, so we already talked about the pandemic issue, which has played an effect into the singles as well. Again, when you come to TCG Player, let's look at this dreaded TCG Player. What the freak, right? Let's start with Sephiroth first, or as I like to call him, Dark Magician. So Sephiroth here, right, we see has been pretty steady, but it's out of stock on TCG Player. What's going to happen when it's back in stock in TCG Player? I guarantee you someone's going to post this for either double, triple, or quadruple, or five-tuple. I don't know how you say five and tuple. It's going to go up super high. Don't buy from a TCG Player person. Please don't do that. Unless there's an honest person on here who's like going to be like realistic and like sell it at a realistic price. Otherwise, don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? TCG Player should always be handled with a grain of salt. Yes, I use it during my streams, but I like to always make note that I use it simply as a base, right? And I take it all as a grain of salt, as so should you, okay? Now let's look at Cloud, right? Again, Cloud here is now at 300. Just I think about a few weeks ago, Cloud was at its steady 100 price. Again, because it's selling out and because it was sold out also for a while as a full art, one person, actually Prime Treasures, I know these folks, okay. In fact, if you've shopped, I'm sure you've bought from Prime Treasures. Now, Prime Treasures is a pretty honest place, and I can't really hold this against them, but I will say, unfortunately, don't buy from them, okay? But they see that it's a sold out item, and they do get a pretty optimistic when they see cards selling out and they start to charge high. Don't buy. Do not buy this from them, okay? And then Tifa, especially, ladies and gentlemen, Tifa right now is at $900, okay? Is it truly worth $900? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. The thing is, don't buy it right now. It jumped up from, I think at one point it was like 50 bucks. And then I remember when it was at 80. I think when I opened it, it was like at 80. And then it went to 100. And then it went to 500. And then it went to 950. Okay? This as a result of it not being available. Okay? Don't do that. Do not buy this. Here's what I'm gonna give a shout out to the Facebook Marketplace TCG folks. Amazing people, amazing community. A shout out to Joe Hancock. He's a fantastic guy. So far, he's been fair to me. I hope he's been fair to you, but he's a great guy. There's other great folks on there. Buy from those people because you know what? Right now, a lot of those people are staying pretty fair for the most part. And I'm going to give a shout out to them for doing that honorable thing. Don't go with TCG Player. Now, what does eBay say? Let's take a look at eBay when it comes to these singles, okay? Oh, and before we jump into that, I also want to say another reason for the price hike is that Opus XI released almost in tandem with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, listen, I'm actually like tail end of Atari. I'm sorry, forgive me. I did not have the Toby here. Thank you, Toby McGuire. I'm sorry, Toby McGuire. Toby Garza. I just called you Toby McGuire. Toby Garza just gave me a heads up here that cannot see the TCG Player. My bad. Let me get that back up here. I'm going back and forth. I typically when I do the news, I kind of have everything scripted out, but right now I'm kind of freewheeling it here with my opinion here. So again, here was the TCG Player here, right? Don't buy, right? We see here just two folks. They recognize that the out of stock. And the same with Cloud and Sephiroth. So I got the Chrome browser back up now. Okay. So okay, so let's go now. Let's go into Toby. For now on, you are Toby McGuire. You know what? You're better than Toby McGuire. You're Spider-Man. Okay, so let's take a look at eBay now. Okay, so with eBay, we see. Oh yes, what was I saying? So Opus XI came out in tandem with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and what I was saying is, listen, I'm a tail end of cusp of Atari, definitely Nintendo child. Nintendo kid. For me, it was Nintendo, and then like my middle school, it was like Super Nintendo, right? I'm a little old, I know. But for me, my favorite Final Fantasy will always go to Final Fantasy VI, which is 3 here on Super Nintendo. That was it. I've played all the Nintendo ones, the Super Nintendo ones, anyway. But for the majority of younger millennials and also the Gen Z, right? You all grew up with PlayStation, and that's awesome. And for you, Final Fantasy first experience was 7. And now a lot of you are growing up, and at least I hope you've grown up, at least mentally. Should be older now. And you define Final Fantasy by Final Fantasy VII. In a sense, Cloud, Sephiroth, and Tifa, and even Aerith are like the mascots to you for Final Fantasy in general. When you think Final Fantasy, you think 7 characters. And that's cool. But what has happened here with the TCG for us TCG players is that Opus XI came out basically in tandem with the Final Fantasy VII Remake on PlayStation 4. And because of that, the want for these, there were people buying these cards who don't even play the TCG game because they just want these cards and they love the way they look. Especially the Opus XI cards because they are screenshots or like awesome poses of the remake. Right? And Square Enix did that on intentionally. That wasn't done on purpose, okay? So let things calm down and prices will come down. Now, This person is selling 10. I think it's all 10. At least I hope they're selling you all 10. If you're going to pay a price like that for $20,000. They are graded. It's PSA. Now, in my opinion, I think from what I know so far about the game, these should be Beckett graded. But if you're into the PSA for Final Fantasy, then there you go. Again, don't buy. But let's see. Who else is selling Tifa? At full art. Not many people. Not many people. Look at that. Not many people. And let me tell you, I've done other searches too for Tifa, Cloud, and Sephiroth. Like I've done other word searches, and there's not a lot happening here in selling. Now let's look at buy. Let's look at complete sold items, okay? Oh wait, I actually have another tab for that. Here we are. We see that in February 20th, somebody bought it for 300. In my opinion, was still a little high. But much more fair than $1,000. Okay? This happened just a few days ago. We're now, it's late for me. It's like March 1st now, but it's just a few days later. Do you really think you should be paying double, 3 times, 4 times more for a card just a few days down the road? No. No. This should be a sign for you to wait. Don't buy. Do not buy. December 9th, somebody bought it for $100. That's a fair price. Hard card to pull, $100 is the right thing, especially for a set that just came out, okay? We see the same thing with Cloud. There is no, in fact, I couldn't find, and maybe you might have better luck, but I honestly couldn't find a Cloud full art for sale. And then I thought to myself, well, then what do we have here for what's been sold? What's been sold? This didn't even sell on the 25th for 119. It sold for less than that, okay? This one sold for 129. Okay, okay. This was a better value for 105. Okay. And I only using TCG Player and eBay. Use other markets. Use the Facebook marketplace for TCG, for Final Fantasy TCG. Use Mercari. Use OfferUp. Use these other places. Do not use TCG Player, please. I'm not like ripping on those folks over there. I remember when TCG Player first came out, it was a mess. It's come a long ways, and I think the team has done great with it. Especially, hey, I'm an engineer. Much respect for those engineers. They've done a great job on how it's come along. But I'm talking about the sellers right now. Don't buy, okay? Same with the full art here, right? This person's very ambitious. They're selling it for $419.43. Don't buy that. Now, if you buy this from the person, this person in the UK is going to be pretty happy. And I'm sure they should, I hope they send you a thank you letter. I really do. But otherwise, do not buy this one Sephiroth that I could not find anything else. I couldn't find anything else. I mean, even a French foil Sephiroth from Opus I, Wave 1, is only $111. Right? For crying out loud. That's an out of print set for a card. This card just came out. Okay? Don't buy it right now. Let's look at it sold completed. This one didn't even sell for 95, right? Probably lower. $90. Okay, that seems a lot more fair. Let's see here. And really, I really couldn't find anything else, I think. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Okay. So, I think, let me see. I can just go ahead and close this browser right now here. Okay. So, to close this off, right now, is let's all be a little bit like Aerith. And let's show some patience, okay? Let's show some patience. Let the market cool, okay? Don't buy expensive boxes. Set yourself a budget. Here's what I do. I gave advice to somebody via, I think it was a Reddit. I think it was a Reddit post. Somebody was asking about Opus XI. And I gave this extensive advice. And I said, when I buy stuff, TCG stuff, right? Because it can get expensive. We know it can. And not all of us have super deep pockets, okay? And I have, listen, I'm very blessed. I have a great paying job, right? I work to have this job, and it's a great job. But even then, there's a limit, right? I want to retire one day, okay? So, listen, I set myself a budget. I say for X item, I'm only spending this amount. I refuse to spend more than this. And you know what? If I miss out, I miss out. Eventually, there may be a deal. If I hit the lottery, maybe I'll buy it. You know, if I have a lot of disposable income, maybe if like prices don't come down, right? But I set myself an income, and I encourage you to do yourself, I mean, a budget, and I encourage yourself to do the same. And do not go past it. Don't be afraid, okay? Don't live by fear in everything. In fact, that's just general good advice. Don't let fear control you, okay? So, right now, yes, Final Fantasy TCG is crazy. It's bonkers all over the place. Now, I just showed you FF7 cards because those are the ones that are hit hardest, and Opus XI because it's hit hardest right now, right? And FF7 cards in all the sets, too, by the way, are being really wonky right now. Just by the way, okay? Be patient. Now, if you need the money, okay, and you're not a scalper, you're not one of those terrible people, and you need the money, right, and you gotta sell, and right now is a good time to sell, then sell, by all means. And power to you. I hope you make a good deal, okay? But in typically what happens is that there's a lot of, well, I want to be here actually careful with the statement, so hold on, I'm gonna back up a bit. Be wise who you purchase from, okay? If there is someone that's trying to take advantage, very obviously trying to take advantage, don't buy from them, right? We see it going on with the PlayStation 5, with GPUs, of course, with other products. At the beginning of the pandemic, we saw it with people who were making some really scumbag moves, right? And listen, listen, what those people did was awful. Okay, when it came in the very beginning of the pandemic, what they were doing with necessities. Those things are obviously way more important to human health, and those people should be ashamed of themselves, right? And I hope they find the love in their hearts or whatever they need, you know, from someone to really rethink their decisions there, because they were harming people. But when it comes to these kinds of things, right, people who want to take advantage of the situation, it's still wrong. It's not as wrong in my opinion, but don't buy from them, okay? So again, let's be a little bit like Aerith. Let's show some patience. Just wait. That's all I got to say. Thank you for watching. What do I call this channel? I mean, this series. I just had a brain fart. Oh yes, thank you for watching the Final Fantasy TCG news with our masses. I appreciate every single one of you. I really, really do. I love every single one of you who have jumped in, who have been watching. Remember, I know I ranted on a long time about just Opus XI and Final Fantasy VII stuff, but I really wanted to give my 2 cents. With all that said, I hope you take care of yourselves. Remember, you all are wonderful, you're beautiful, and you're loved. Even when you do bad mistakes, it's still true, right? It doesn't mean you are an unloved person. It just means that, you know, maybe, in fact, I think it means you need more love, right? So again, you're all wonderful, you're all beautiful, you're all loved. Thank you for watching. We'll be back Monday again, playing Final Fantasy XIV on Twitch, possibly also on the YouTube channel, since we're under 20 of the TCG. We'll be opening Shadowbringers this week. Thank you again for watching. I love every single one of you. You all have been awesome. I appreciate all your support. Until next time, bye-bye.